Most people think the danger starts when you leave the house. But for those over 70, the most critical decisions, the ones that shape your safety, strength, and even your survival, happen within the first hour after waking, before your feet touch the floor, before your first sip of coffee, before anyone else is watching. And here's the truth. One wrong move in the morning can change everything. 1. Getting out of bed too quickly. Risk. Sudden drops in blood pressure, orthostatic hypotension, can cause dizziness and falls. Solution. Use a gradual 3-step process. Wake slowly, sit up with feet on the floor, pause before standing. Example: Edward, 74, blacked out briefly from rising too quickly and nearly injured himself. It was just another morning, sunlight filtering through the slats of the blinds, the kettle beginning its slow hiss, and the usual stiffness curling around the knees like a familiar ache. But for Edward, 74, this morning would change everything. He had done it 1,000 times before, swung his legs out of bed, stood up fast, shuffled down the hall. But today, something felt off. Just a faint buzzing in his ears, a slow spin of the room, then black. When he came to, he was on the bathroom floor, a bruise already blooming on his shoulder. His wife found him moments later, frightened but grateful he was conscious. The hospital visit confirmed what many seniors never hear clearly enough. It wasn't just age, it was the way he woke up. And he's not alone. The first dangerous mistake most people over 70 make is simply this: getting out of bed too quickly. It sounds harmless. It feels efficient. But beneath that habit lies a risk that rises with age: orthostatic hypotension, a drop in blood pressure that occurs when standing up too fast. The result? Dizziness, lightheadedness, and falls that can lead to hospital stays, fractures, and sometimes the slow unraveling of independence. Yet most seniors don't connect the dots. They assume it's just a head rush, or dehydration, or even clumsiness. But the truth is this: after 70, your circulatory system takes longer to adjust. The body's ability to regulate blood pressure in response to changes in posture begins to fade, not from failure, but from wear. And in that wear, lives can pivot in seconds. Let's talk about habits, the ones we never question. For decades, many of us were conditioned to wake fast, get moving, be productive. But what if that urgency, so admired in our youth, is the very thing that threatens us in older age? What if a slower start isn't laziness, but wisdom? There's a better way, and it starts before you ever put your feet on the floor. When you first wake, take a moment, lie still, let your body catch up with your mind. Wiggle your toes, stretch gently, rotate your ankles. Then sit up, slowly. Let your legs dangle off the side of the bed. Breathe deep. Only after a full minute should you stand. And even then, hold on to something sturdy nearby. A bedpost, a wall, a steady arm. For Edward, the fix was simple, but powerful. He placed a small note card on his nightstand with 3 words: pause, breathe, rise. It wasn't just a reminder, it was a ritual. A commitment to safety disguised as slowness. Over time, his confidence returned. No more near falls, no more ER visits. What changed wasn't just his blood pressure, it was his relationship to his own body. And that's the hidden gift in addressing this first morning mistake. When we honor our limits, we often rediscover our strength. 2. Skipping water in the morning risk. Mild dehydration from sleep can lead to thicker blood, higher blood pressure, sluggish circulation, and increased stroke, heart risk. Solution: drink a glass of water immediately upon waking. Warm water with lemon can help. Example: James, 76, noticed reduced brain fog and better energy after making this change. Every morning, our bodies whisper a silent request. It's not for caffeine, not for emails, not even for breakfast. It's for water. And yet, for so many over 70, this request goes unanswered. We don't feel the thirst. We don't reach for the glass. We wake up and drift straight into the day, dehydrated and unaware. But by the time you feel the effects, it's already too late. Dehydration isn't always dramatic. It doesn't always come with cracked lips or a dry throat. Sometimes it comes with something more subtle and more dangerous. Confusion, fatigue, dizziness, a sense that something's off. And for older adults, these symptoms aren't just bothersome, they're life-altering. Let's rewind a bit. While we sleep, we lose moisture through breath, skin, and even the air in our homes. That's natural. But as we age, the body's thirst mechanism, the one that tells you to drink, becomes duller. You stop noticing the signal. Meanwhile, your kidneys are less efficient, and your cells hold on to water less effectively. It's a perfect storm, higher risk, lower awareness, and yet, every day, thousands wake up and skip the one thing that could prevent hospital visits, falls, fatigue, and even stroke. That thing? A simple glass of water. James, 76, always prided himself on his routine. Rise early, read the paper, one strong coffee. That was his ritual for decades. But lately, something was off. His thinking was slower. His knees ached more. His energy dipped before lunch. His doctor ran tests, but nothing stood out, until a nurse casually asked, "How much water do you drink when you wake up?" His answer? "I usually just wait until lunch." It was like a switch. Once James added a tall glass of water to his morning, before coffee, before anything, things changed. His focus sharpened. The morning fog lifted. His digestion improved. He didn't add a new pill. He added what nature had been asking for all along. The benefits of morning hydration aren't just anecdotal. Hydrating upon waking helps thin your blood. Important when heart attack and stroke risks rise with age. It kickstarts metabolism, supports kidney function, and even improves joint mobility. And it's not just the water, it's the timing. Waiting hours allows your body to spiral deeper into dehydration. But drinking first thing breaks the cycle. Want to take it a step further? Warm water with lemon or herbal tea can soothe the stomach and gently wake the digestive system. Cold water works too. It's personal preference. The lesson here isn't that water is a cure-all. It's that hydration is a foundation. It's one of the easiest, most overlooked ways to protect aging bodies, especially in the fragile morning hours. So why do we forget? Because we've convinced ourselves that habits only need to change when something goes wrong. But the truth is, they should change when we finally understand what's at stake. Hydration is not optional after 70. It's essential. It's not just about how much you drink in a day. It's about when. And morning is the most critical time. 3. Drinking coffee before eating anything. Risk. Coffee on an empty stomach increases cortisol, causes acid reflux, and may lead to digestive issues and jitteriness. Solution. Eat a small snack before coffee. Banana, toast, or a few nuts to stabilize digestion and blood sugar. Example. Robert, 75, relieved acid reflux by eating something before coffee. The aroma is familiar. The mug is warm. The ritual is comforting. For many, coffee is the very first act of waking. It's what makes morning feel like morning. But what if we've misunderstood the role it plays, especially after age 70? What if the first sip that energizes us is also silently depleting us? Robert, 75, had always been a coffee person. 2 strong cups before 8 a.m., no breakfast, and straight into yard work or errands. It wasn't until the acid started creeping into his chest and his hands began to shake mid-morning that he paused long enough to ask, "Why does this feel different now?" The answer lies in what our bodies can no longer tolerate the way they once did. After 70, digestion slows. The gut becomes more sensitive. Cortisol levels, the stress hormone that naturally spikes in the morning, are already elevated. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach throws fuel on the fire. It triggers more acid production, more cortisol, and a hormonal roller coaster that can lead to jitteriness, anxiety, inflammation, and for some, serious digestive upset. What feels like energy is often just adrenaline, and that borrowed energy has a cost. What happens when we skip food before coffee? Blood sugar drops. Mood swings rise. Some notice it as irritability. Others call it fatigue. But the underlying mechanism is simple. Caffeine demands fuel to process. Without it, the body begins to break itself down to compensate. And in older adults, where blood sugar regulation is already delicate, this becomes more than just a mild annoyance. It becomes a real threat to stability, memory, and heart health. So why do we do it? Habit, culture, simplicity. But convenience shouldn't override care. There's a better way. It doesn't require giving up your morning coffee. It just asks for a shift. A small one, a slice of toast, a handful of almonds, a banana. Anything that provides a soft landing for the caffeine to rest on. Robert's change was subtle. A slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter before his first cup. The result? No more chest discomfort, no more shakiness, more calm, and more sustained energy. He didn't quit coffee. He made peace with it. There's also the forgotten joy of ritual beyond caffeine. A slow morning with tea, a walk before the cup, a bite of something nourishing, real, whole, warm. These aren't just nutrition tips. They are acts of kindness toward your aging body. And often it's not about breaking a habit. It's about reframing it. Coffee is not the enemy, but drinking it on an empty stomach, especially in later years, is like throwing fire on a fragile wick. Eventually, something burns. 4. Ignoring morning stiffness and moving too quickly. Risk. Stiff joints from sleep can cause imbalance, falls, and injuries. Solution. Gently move joints before getting out of bed. Ankle rolls, arm stretches, deep breaths. Take first steps slowly. Example. Walter, 78, fell and suffered a hip injury after rushing out of bed despite stiffness. For most of our lives, the morning has been a race, an alarm, a checklist, a mental sprint from bed to door. But after 70, that instinct to move fast can quietly betray the very stability we depend on. Walter, 78, had always been sharp, strong, and efficient. He prided himself on being the first one up, first one dressed, and the last to need help. But one morning changed everything. As he swung his legs out of bed and stood with confidence, his knee gave way. A twist, a fall, a fracture. The injury wasn't just to his hip, it was to his independence. His morning, once brisk and proud, had become a lesson in regret. And the saddest part? It was avoidable. One of the most dangerous morning mistakes for seniors is ignoring stiffness, powering through it instead of honoring it. During sleep, joints tighten, muscles cool, and circulation slows. It's a natural process. But if you treat your 78-year-old body like it's 38, that first step can become the one that sends you to rehab. It's not weakness, it's biology. And rushing through the transition from rest to motion is a silent hazard that claims thousands each year. Think about your body like a car left overnight in the cold. You don't slam on the gas the second it starts. You let it warm up. You test the brakes. You move with awareness, yet so many people jump out of bed, ignore the signals, and push through pain, stiffness, or imbalance. That courage is admirable, but it's misplaced. Because sometimes strength is found in slowness, in intention, in knowing your limits, not just proving you can defy them. Walter's story is common, but it doesn't have to be. After his fall, he started each morning with a ritual of slow movement. Still in bed, he began with ankle rolls, gentle knee bends, and arm stretches overhead. Then he'd sit up and breathe, 5 deep breaths before standing. And when he finally stepped forward, he did so with grounded feet, a steady surface in reach, and full awareness of his balance. Within weeks, his confidence returned, not in speed, but in safety, in control. These shifts may feel small, but their power is immense. Just 5 minutes of morning mobility can reduce fall risk dramatically. And that means not just safety, but dignity, autonomy, peace. The truth is, the rush to be productive can sometimes lead to months of being immobile. So what if we redefined success in the morning? Not by how fast we get dressed or how quickly we check our emails, but by how well we listen to our body's quiet warnings. Mornings are often seen as beginnings, but after 70, they carry even more weight. Each one is not just another sunrise, it's another chance. A chance to choose differently, to listen, to care, to respond rather than react. And if we're honest, we don't always treat them with the reverence they deserve. We jump up, we skip water, we race toward coffee. We try to keep pace with who we were, not who we are. And that quiet mismatch, the collision between memory and biology, is where danger hides, not in weakness, but in habit. But here's the most powerful truth in all of this. Your morning routine is the most underrated form of prevention. These aren't just mistakes, they're missed conversations with the body, missed signals from the heart, missed opportunities to reclaim ownership over aging, not as decline, but as dialogue. Because when we treat morning with mindfulness, the rest of the day follows in kind. Think about Edward, who almost lost consciousness just by standing too fast. James, who didn't realize that his brain fog was thirst in disguise. Robert, whose acid reflux and fatigue weren't age, they were coffee without cushion. Walter, who fell not from frailty, but from rushing. These aren't cautionary tales, they're awakenings, gentle, powerful reminders that longevity is often built in the quietest of choices. So here's the invitation. Before your next morning begins, take a pause, lay still, breathe deep, thank your body for what it's carried, then give it what it needs. Time to adjust, water to renew, fuel to balance, and movement with intention. Not to prevent death, but to protect life, real life, independent life. Life where your steps feel steady, your thoughts feel clear, and your energy returns not in bursts, but in waves. Because in the end, the goal is not to avoid aging, it's to participate in it, fully, lovingly, courageously. And that begins not in big dramatic changes, but in a single moment, a single morning, when you decide to do it differently, when you recognize that these quiet shifts aren't just healthy, they're sacred, and that the most important health decision you'll make today might be made before you've even left the bed.